And welcome to our kind of part two this week of the Gulo edition episode. I believe this is 9. So we're going to be jumping into a little recap of Indiana from last week, and then we're also going to look at Wisconsin coming up this week. And so we are super glad to be able to hang out with you guys here for the next couple of moments. Kyle, let's go ahead and just jump right into Indiana because we spent last episode really, again, just talking about how we're on rock bottom and how Jim Harbaugh really needs to make a move right now. And he didn't take any steps further against Indiana. It just seemed like we were out of all different kinds of sorts. I mean, our defensive line, you and I bragged about, was supposed to be the best in the Big Ten, one of the best in the country coming into the season. We haven't had any pressure on the quarterback. We haven't sacked the quarterback in 2 games, Michigan State and Indiana. Aiden Hutchinson fractured his lower leg, so he's done for the season. It's just not looking good, man. Our defensive backs, again, just looked horrible. It wasn't even just scheme. It's just fundamentals. It's like, what are these guys going over in practice? It's like they're not even doing the small things right. Everything from, you have Josh Ross running – with the running back for to cover a pass, then he just like stops in the middle of nowhere. And it's just like, what is he doing? Like, this is a linebacker core that was supposed to be the best in the Big Ten, and they just look awful, man. Defense, offensively, Joe Milton still sometimes it seems like he can't hit a pass over 10 yards. He threw that one bomb, and I think Cornelius Johnson came up with his first touchdown on that. Besides that, Joe Milton is still working on his accuracy, and when he does throw a tight spiral, the receivers aren't catching him. Eric All is Mr. Drop. He's just been dropping everything. And it's just like, man, as a young quarterback, you need to have your team help you out because you're going to make mistakes as a young quarterback. But you need your team to be able to make the plays that need to be made so it can build your confidence. And our receivers and our offensive line, whatever it is, like they're just not helping Joe Milton out at all. They're not allowing the kid to build confidence. I mean, our offensive line, dude, is just getting off the ball slow. They're it's the fundamentals. They're not staying low. They're not driving. They're not sustaining blocks. Everything just looks, again, just bad. And man, I tell you what, they have a lot to work on because they're going to be playing a pretty physical Wisconsin. I mean, Wisconsin's probably one of the most physical teams in the Big Ten every year. And if they don't shape up here and get some consistency in that run game, it's not going to look good. So I want to hear your thoughts a little bit on last week's loss to Indiana.
So yeah, on the defensive side, I mean, you're just nailing it. Don Brown came to this game with more zone than he ever has. It seemed like, and we regressed worse than ever. It seems like our secondary. I mean, they're playing zone, and Penix just chewed up the soft spots, the underside of the zone, all game, just attacking it. Our secondary was getting burnt. They were still not looking with their eyes. They're still grabbing and getting pass interference calls. The discipline is just not there. The offside penalties, the defensive line just looked horrible. Then Don Brown has a zone coverage, but you're blitzing all linebackers, so leaving this wide open gap open on the underside. But then you're also leaving these defensive backs on island still. You're not figuring out how you can fix that. So, yeah, I mean, Penix just chewed us apart. And, going into this game, I was thinking our defensive line was going to step up, do a lot better, and we just got manhandled up front. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, it's defensive side. It's not looking good. I mean, is it time for Don Brown to go? I mean, are we at that point? I'd wait until the end of the season. But yeah, if it's been time to go for a long time, and I think it's just now to a point where everybody is on the same page.
And I mean,
On the offensive
it's
side,
it's from the top down on defense too. I mean, Don Brown, you look at even his assistant coaches. I mean, Nua on defense, like, dude, where the heck is anything at? Like, we can't stop the run, we can't stop the pass, we can't rush the quarterback. Like, it's from Don Brown on, from him on down, from Brown on down. He just there's no. It just seems like it's just getting worse, man. Like New, I don't know what Coach New was doing on defense, and the defensive line is just like everything just
well,
seems to be out of sorts, man.
Yeah, it's the discipline is the worst. I mean, you take away the penalties, you take away the amount of penalties we had, you take away the sloppy offsides, the sloppy pass interferences. We could have been in this game, but that
Yeah.
killed us, and it's continued to kill us. The mental errors. Our defensive backs are still getting burned, get blown out. It seems like they just get manhandled, and I think that falls on the coaches. I think the players are doing everything they can. They seem to be really good. It's we're at a point. I mean, Vincent Gray got blown up. Vincent Gray, and the thing is why not change up your defense then? Put Vincent Gray in a position where you could help him, because instead of helping him, you're just beating him down more. He's walking off
Yeah.
the field with his head down. Um, you're just making it worse by continuing to put him on islands by himself. And Jamon Green did so, but no, our defense is looking it's lousy. It's I
Lousy.
talk about everybody else being lousy. What was it? Michigan State's defense being lousy. Man, we're lousy. We're horrible. Defense needs a lot of work.
Don Brown needs to just retire, man. I mean, the guy's had a great career.
Well, the
You
schemes are
know,
being exposed.
teams are being exposed. It's a new age of football, and again, I'm thankful for everything he's done for us and the excitement that he's brought to our team in the last couple of years. But it's man, it's just done. I just think it's time for us to move on and to get a new defensive coordinator and whatever you have to do that. Jim Harbaugh, we talk about Ward Manuel have to make tough decisions. Jim Harbaugh, this is your decision, man. You got to go out and get yourself a new defense coordinator because you're paying Don Brown, $1 million or $2 million a year to do this, and it's below par. It's not doing good. So you want to look at a defense coordinator who does good for his money. It's Coach Venables down at Clemson. I mean that that guy is amazing, and he knows he's got to bring it every single game, every single week. He's learning, he's adjusting. You talk to Clemson fans, they don't win that national title against Alabama a couple years ago the way that they did if they don't get exposed against South Carolina. And they'll admit that. They'll say, look, South Carolina exposed our defense in that last game of the season to where our coach, our defensive coordinator, knew that he needed to make major adjustments. He did, and they went out and spanked Alabama in the national championship game. So I think that just testifies to a good defense, a great and elite defensive coordinator, and the adjustments that they know that they need to make. They're not going to be stuck in their ways, and it's definitely time to move on from Don Brown. So I agree with that. Let's go ahead and move over to the offense side of the ball. Again, it's just another place that we can't seem to get a consistent running game down. Doug Skeen, thank you for this, Doug Skeen. Shout out to Doug Skeen, made a great point here. He said, when you're an offensive lineman and you have 6 different running backs getting rotated in every other play, you don't get a feel for how you're the natural way of how you're supposed to block for each running back. So if you have a certain running back who's running consistently almost every single play, you're going to know the type of cuts that he's going to already make because you're used to him running the ball. So you know where you need to be to block. You know where your placement needs to be at because you know when that running back's going to make those certain cuts. And having one running back in there, 2 running backs in there can build that trust where you just naturally know as a lineman where your running backs are going to cut at. But we have 6 different running backs in there every other play, and so they can't get a feel for what the running backs are doing. It's just creating a lot of havoc. Offense line isn't getting any push. Energy in general just seems low. Like I don't know, man. Receivers again, I think they got a little bit better separation against Indiana, but still dropping passes, putting Milton in 3rd and long situations. Again, it's just I don't know, man. Again, I'm frustrated with it. What are your thoughts on the offense side of ball against Indiana?
Well, Zach, you nailed it. We're being too cute.
Mm,
We're being too fancy. We're trying to do all this trickery on offense. We're trying to do all these different experiments still under Harbaugh's 6th year. Um, we we have too many formations. We have too many running backs in. We have too much going on. We need to declutter our offense, simplify, go back to the basics, and run 1 or 2 formations that work. Find the key formations, and run a few different schemes or different types of schemes in that formation. And if you have
mm,
to, you can do that. But keep it simple. Keep it basic. Keep it what these guys will remember and know. They are younger. They're coming out of high school. They're young. They're still being developed. Just keep it simple. You have a lot of moving parts. People are injured. A lot of our offensive line are injured. Ryan Hayes didn't even come with the team. Jalen Mayfield didn't come with the team again. So they didn't even show up in Indiana. You got some younger kids in, and you got to keep it simple. We were supposed to come into this game, and our running was supposed to take off, and it was horrible. I mean, I'll go through the stats here in a little bit about the game, but it's bad. Our running game just didn't go anywhere. And our passing, and look, our offensive line, they got no push. They weren't rolling off their blocks when it comes to the loop and the crossing blocks. When Indiana's nose guard and tackles and defensive ends are crossing and looping, you got to pick that up right. They're not checking down. They're not picking it up, especially on the zone read plays when we're going to the right. Maybe it's an outside, like to the nine hole, or wherever you're going out. We're not picking up those plays. We're not. And a lot of that, I think, fell on. You had some people like Chuck Filiaga, some of these linemen that just weren't holding up their own. Zach Zinner ended up doing the best job, I think, on the offensive line. But even he had his blocks that he messed up on. And but Chuck Filiaga, he's got to pick it up. I think Stuber's got to pick it up. There was plays that we've seen where he just didn't look good. There was plays where some of the checkdowns weren't right, and they just seemed confused. I mean, they're not getting they're keeping their shoulders turned to the sideline a lot of times. Yeah. Their hips are not based out right, and they're just getting moved around. They're getting manhandled up front. Nick Eubanks got manhandled. He turned his shoulders on many plays to the side and just completely let the defensive ends and tackles run right through him, linebackers right through him, because his technique wasn't right. It's all about technique. It's those first, when you come off that ball, you come off that 3-point, when you come off that 3-point technique, and your first two steps is all about basing. It's quick. You have to base. That's key. And then after that, having your elbows locked in, having your thumbs up, having your hands locked into the chest, and punching up, and those first, your hips should be low. You should be driving. It should be 6-inch choppy steps with your feet. And those first two steps, and you're going off, it's a 1-2, 1-2, 1-2. You're popping. That's what you're taught. And then you're keeping your shoulders parallel, you're keeping boxed in, your head up, your butt down, shoulders, your back straight, and you're pushing. And you're pushing. And you're keeping those hands, those thumbs up, and you're locked in. Elbows in, but you're not turning. You're not turning your shoulders out to the sideline. And we've seen a lot of that. Some of these guys are big. Zach Zinner, they're real tall. But still, you have to get low enough, and you have to push, and you have to drive, especially on those base blocks you're driving. And we didn't see that. And they seemed confused. They weren't, their combo blocks, when they bounce off their, let's say like your tackle, when you're bouncing off the tackle and you have to pick up the linebacker, you have to know who you're supposed to be getting. Sometimes they didn't see the linebacker, they were confused on who they were supposed to get. They were double teaming the wrong guy, and that starts with Ed Warner, and starts with. But again, with all the injuries we're having up front and the rotation of new guys, it just seems like there's just no rhythm. There's no security there on the line, and that puts a lot of pressure on Joe Milton. It puts a lot of pressure on Evans or Corum, whoever's blocking in the backfield. Nick Eubanks got beat up all game. He got ate up. So our offense. And the thing is why are we running all these tight formations with everybody boxed in? Why aren't we spreading it out? I didn't see the spread in space. The speed in space, the spread in space. I didn't see it. Urban Meyer was praising Michigan the first game of the year when we were like, balanced. We were talking about it, balanced West Coast spread offense. You got your runs, powerhouse runs, your key runs. You have your key passes that we were going to. We were spreading it out. It looked great. All of a sudden against Michigan State and Indiana, it's like, what are we doing? What the heck? It's just stupid. So
they're just taking steps back. And I think the worst thing about it for the whole entire game for me was seeing Brad Hawkins, our defense. I think he's their safety, I think he's one of our safeties. This is his third year in the program, and he's just gotten worse. Like, he hasn't developed, and he gets absolutely bulldozed in the end zone when the running back scores on us. Instead of running off to the sidelines, to get coached up, he's talking crap to the running back that just bulldozed him over and scored a touchdown on us. And it's just like everything from the mental mistakes to fundamentals to just attitude. It just stinks, man. It's just really bad. And so both on offense and on defense. So I mean, obviously, statistics speaks for themselves, but all these other elements in it stuff are just, I think it just adds to it to just show how far we have digressed and how bad we are right now. What are some statistics that you see from the offense and defensive side of the ball that just continue to prove the inconsistency that we're seeing?
Yeah. So real quick, I did want to have a shout out Zach Zinner did have a pancake block on the first play of the offensive game. His placement was perfect with his hands, thumbs up, locked in the chest. He bulldozed his guy right over, pancaked him. That's what we like to see. I used to do that in high school. Varsity, I used to pancake block all the time as a guard, a pulling guard. It's a lot of fun when you can cut that foot, take that sharp turn, and get under somebody's shoulder pads right there at the chest, breast level, and pick that up and drive them into the dirt. And but it all started with the first 2 feet being based out, thumbs into the right position, having parallel legs to the shoulders, getting your butt down, face up, back straight, and having those choppy feet, not stopping, not driving, not having your feet where you're not driving. That's the biggest thing, is keeping those feet chopping. A lot of times I've seen with Chuck Filiaga and some of these other linemen, they were getting their feet completely out of place, or they had their feet too wide, and they were just getting ran over, or they were getting the thing is they weren't getting the push that they needed. They were just stalling their opponent in the hole, and that's not what you want. You have to move these bodies around to make holes happen so you can get your runs where they need to be. We ran the ball so much, and we got only 13 yards. I think it was 18 carries for 13 yards. Indiana, people eat Indiana up on the rushing. I mean, they give it up. Indiana does, and we could not do that. Indiana beat us on both sides of the ball. Stats real quick. If we fix the penalties, the offsides, and clean up some of the offensive play, we can win this game. That's what it comes down to on these stats. Michigan outgained Indiana yards per play at 6.9 yards per carry. According to Indiana, it was only 5.2 yards. Yards per completion, Michigan had 19, Indiana had 11. Joe Millen outthrew Penix 18 for 34 for 344 yards with a higher passer rating than Penix. Milton got most stats from the second half, and Penix got most of his from the first half. Penix had 30 for 50 for 342 yards. Michigan ran the ball 18 times for 13 yards. Indiana 38 times for 118 yards. So Indiana definitely owned the clock, time of possession. Indiana dominated the time of possession with 38 minutes to Michigan's 21. Michigan is now tied for third in the Big Ten for the offense, where they were first coming out of Minnesota. Most of their stats, most of their good stats from the offensive side come from the Minnesota game. So Michigan has went from the top team for rushing down to number 9 in the conference. So that tells you something about where we're heading here and it could be with Ryan Hayes and Jalen Mayfield being hurt and the instability of the offensive line now. Milton had 1,000 yards in 3 games. Now, most of these yards came from Minnesota. Zach Charbonnet had 1 carry for 4 yards. Hassan Haskins had 6 for 19. Blake Corum 2 for 3. So, it comes down to, why are we running these condensed formations? There's just no rhythm. It makes no sense to me. It makes no sense to a lot of people what we're doing on offense. There's no direction. Michael Barrett said, we know what's wrong, but the simple fix is we have to correct them, and we just need to do it in practice, and it'll show in the game. But to me, these aren't simple fixes. We're having issues here. Fun fact real quick, Penn State and Michigan combined only have 1 win in the first 3 weeks in the Big Ten East. I mean, we would never thought that we'd see that day happen, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Michigan out of the top 25. Aiden Hutchinson now has a broken leg. He's out for the year. We are 16 years removed from the last Big Ten championship, and we still have no fire with 7 captains on the team. No leadership, no direction. I mean, what the heck is going on in Ann Arbor?
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's a debacle. I mean, I think you look at it and you try to make excuses for them, but really the bottom line is Michigan's just really not that good. And I know the history and the way and the brand and everything of the football program, it seems like it's better than it should be, or we're better than what we really are putting out on the field. When it comes down to it, we just stink. Our coaching staff's not good. Our players aren't good. Discipline's awful. They're just a bad football team all around. Gosh, man, are we the Dallas Cowboys, where we can only talk about the past and we're just a bunch of losers? The coaching staff isn't good. The players aren't good. They're not disciplined at all. It's showing on the field. And you know what? I understand it's a pandemic year, but everybody has to deal with it. And we're unprepared. And I don't expect anything less coming up this Saturday. We have Wisconsin, and we don't know a whole lot about them because they only played 1 game. But from what we've seen, man, they're a physical team. They have a darn good quarterback. They know exactly what they want to do. Paul Chryst has continued the identity that's been at Wisconsin for a long time, and I don't see it changing anytime soon. And so I don't know about your thoughts on this coming up weekend's game against Wisconsin, but I think we're either going to actually show up and play a decent game, sound football, disciplined, prepared football, and we're going to sneak out with the win, or we're going to get blown out again, and it's going to be bad. And if we lose 3 games in a row, this season's over. I mean, we already know that the program itself isn't stable, and Harbaugh's future doesn't look good. But if we lose this game, dude, the rest of the season's over, man. The players will lose. Harbaugh will lose that locker room 100% if we lose this game this week. What are your thoughts on this coming weekend?
Well, Zach, it's a high sense of urgency in that locker room for these players to win this game. They still are motivated. They want to fix what's wrong, and a lot of these players are young, so they want to improve and show that they are talented, that they can win. The coaches, too, they're in the hot seat, so they want to figure this out. They want to win. Us fans, we want to see finally a W. We want to get out of this losing streak that we're in. I don't know what's going to happen here because we only have 1 game worth of film here to watch with Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Them beating the crap out of Illinois and Graham Mertz completely converting a Jonathan Taylor offense, rushing offense, powerhouse offense, to a amazing looking running or passing style of offense where he's on attack with the passing. And Graham Mertz, as of right now, is with 1 game is hot. He's on a hot streak. Now there has been 15 cases of COVID running through that locker room. Graham Mertz is expected to play, but we don't really know what we're getting with them. I know one thing though. I know Michigan has to slow down the passing game. We have to figure that out. The offensive line needs to show up. The offensive line needs to win their battles up front, and I would say the defense line as well. And we have to be prepared for everything that's going to be thrown our way because we don't know what's going to happen. They're unexpected. So we have to be ready for whatever Wisconsin's going to be throwing at us.
Yeah.
If it is going to be running the ball or if it's going to be mostly a lot of passing through the air with Graham Mertz. But the thing is, the Michigan players want to fix the small things. They want to try to get through this and figure out what's happening and diagnose it and fix it quick. But it's going to take major changes, major fixes, not small fixes. And honestly, with everybody being injured and it seems like it's just inconsistent right now on the line, they're gonna have to show up. No matter who's hurt, they're gonna have to show up, or else we're gonna lose bad. It could be a lopsided win for Wisconsin. If we don't show up, if we don't clean up the penalties, the discipline needs to be a lot better. Our DB's got to do better. Our offensive line needs to check down. They need to do better with their base blocks. It's kind of a combination of everything. But Giles Jackson said we have one sense of urgency. We're determined now. Our mindset is just we have to do it. We cannot lose. We're going to turn this notch up on Monday through Friday in practice. We know we have to get the job done. The team is counting on us. And he's talking about the wide receivers. They need to do a better job of winning their upfront battle, of being able to get open and be able to fight those contested battles that they're going to be fighting. So the wide receiver group does need to show up. But I think we have to the biggest thing, too, is we got to slow down Graham Mertz and their offense. Our offense needs to put more points on the board. You know, we're supposed to be a team who's supposed to put up a lot of points fast on the board. That's what we were hoping to see. That's what we're supposed to be. Because any team that can put up a lot of high points fast on the board will beat any other team that can't. Wisconsin is designed to eat up the clock, run you tired, power you out, and they will win if we can't put up points on the board because of the style of team that we have became compared to Wisconsin. So the depth chart for Wisconsin is the same as week one. Yeah. So we don't really have Paul Chris put that out there. We don't really have much on that. Jake Ferguson will be the biggest target for Graham Mertz. So we have to be ready for that big tight end. And we got to be expecting a powerhouse run still from Wisconsin. And I don't know, man. I mean, at this point right now, I'm just scratching my head because here before the season started, you know me, I was hyper. I was ready to go. I thought I was on the Harbaugh train still. Even though a lot of people at that point have already gotten off. And now look at us. Now we're sitting here as sad Wolverine fans. I mean, I pinned it on my Twitter that I'm just a sad Wolverine fan that wants to eat a bunch of ice cream bars and so and a shout out to Brad. He's been a big supporter for us on Twitter and retweeting our Gulo retweets. Brad G at GRN SHEIMER, so GRN Scheimer. Brad G, he's been a big supporter for us, so big shout out to him for his support and everything he does. So,
well, thanks,
but
man.
Yeah, it's been a sad season for all of us. It's emotional. We're all distressed. To clean everything up, I guess, to conclude it for me, it's like this. Let's just get through this COVID year. Let's get through all these injuries and this young team that we're dealing with. Let's improve. Let's try to beat Wisconsin and try to get through this year until we get to Ohio State. We're going to lose Ohio State. But let's try to beat these other teams, improve to get to that point. And just lick our wounds, accept what we had, and then ride out Harbaugh's contract, and while we're looking for another coach And that to me is what we need to do. I don't see a miracle
Yeah.
happen where Harbaugh is going to bring us to an Natty or bring us to beating every team on the schedule next year. I don't see that. So I think that's kind of what we have to be, what has to be in play for me. That's my opinion. Don Brown needs to be let go. I think he should have been let go a long time
I
ago.
say fire him mid-season. I mean, look.
Yeah, me too.
If you go look at the Houston Texans, they fired their head coach mid-season. They won their last like 2 or 3 games. So fire Don Brown, get somebody in there that actually wants to let the players win and put the players in the best
Yep.
position to win. So
Yep.
fire him
And then,
now.
I'll go ahead, Zach.
I said fire him now, and a big win for Michigan is to ride out Harbaugh's contract and try not to lose, the next 12 games next year. And hopefully after that we can get a coach in here that can do better. So,
and who's the coach at Coastal Carolina?
Coastal Carolina, you got Jamie Chadwell. He coaches Charleston Southern, my college alma mater, and dude's a great coach. I mean, he knows how to win. He knows how to get his players up there. You give a guy like that the right resources, then I think he could do wonders. I think he could build a culture that lasts, and obviously do everything that Harbaugh cannot do and cannot do. So,
yeah, I think that's where we're at, which is sad. I never would thought we're at this point right now in midseason. But maybe this year's just a delusional year, and Harbaugh brings it to the high point of our life here next year. But I highly doubt that. But you never know. We're not Ward Manual. We're not the boosters. We're just fans. So,
we'll just keep going ahead and paying Harbaugh another $7 million, and he can sit comfortably and do what he's continuing to do. So we'll tune in again next week and see. Hopefully we're not as sad as we are this week, but we can't really.
Well, who you picking, man? Who you gonna?
Honestly, I think Michigan can pull this out. I honestly think Michigan's going to pull this out somehow. I think they're going to clean up the mistakes. I think the players are going to take charge more, and we're going to somehow win this Wisconsin game for the simple fact that I think we're not going to create as many penalties. And I also think, too, because Wisconsin hasn't played in a month. And so I think we're going to catch them off guard a bit, and we're going to be able to, even though we've been losing and not playing good, we've still been playing. And so I think that's going to pay dividends, and I'm going to pick Michigan in this one, and that's coming from a guy and a fan who has lost all hope in Michigan football right now. So I'm going to pick Michigan to win this game. It's going to be 33 to 20 or 33 to 23 or something like that.
That's a good score. That's a good score, Zach. I've been with Michigan all season so far. I've been rooting them on. The biggest Michigan fan. They have let me down, man. I'm broken. Yeah. I feel like I don't have any motivation that this team can turn around. Honestly, I mean, I think that they think they can, but heck, I think this is like the worst team we've had since 2014, and it's bad. And when you know you're bad, you're bad. So, I don't know. I think Wisconsin comes in hot. They come in ready to play. They have a nice break, 2-week break. But they still have a lot of COVID cases. They're weak on that side because they do have all that going on. Michigan, I don't know. I personally, I'm gonna go back to my towel here. I'm going back to my Great to be a Michigan Wolverine, right?
Yeah.
This is from our 2018 Wisconsin game.
That's right. Throw it up, yeah.
So, me personally, I'm going back with Michigan again.
All right.
But I hope they don't let me down this time. I'm going to pick Michigan. I'm going to go with 27-24.
It's a good score. It's very close. It's
gonna be very close. I think it's gonna be a sloppy game again, and it's gonna be tight. And It's going to drag on. So
That's a promising score. Again, I'm going to pick Michigan to win. I think they're going to be more prepared, and I think they're going to be. I think Wisconsin's coming out of a hole from not being able to play the last month or so from COVID issues. That doesn't give me any more hope for the Harbaugh tenure here. That just I think the circumstances of this specific week. But we'll see. We'll see how the rest of the season goes after this. But for all you listeners out there and for our Gulo followers, thank you again, and try to stay sane as well as you can this weekend as we go to support Michigan again as they take on the Wisconsin Badgers from Madison, Wisconsin. So until next time,
and
we'll see you. Yep.
just pray for Steve Carball for
Yep.
his surgery to go. His back surgery, that it did go well, and
Yep.
so let's continue to keep him in our prayers that he heals and
That's
gets
right.
better.
That he continues to get better. Because you know what? At the end of the day, it's just a football game. There are a lot more important things out there, and so continue to keep the main things. But go blue, and we will see you guys here again next week on the Gulo.